Well now, friendly friends, I thought the valley should have a little bit of representation. So here we have, you remember back in the day, they're kind of like a cult following now. The Bowery Boys. We all saw them when we were kids. Of course, I'm older than, most of you young punks, the whippersnappers, and all you really special and precious millennials. But you remember Leo Gorcey and Huntz Hall? Leo Gorcey was the guy who always wore the baseball cap and he acted like he was insane. And then the Huntz Hall, he was always the boss. He was the leader. He would slap the other guys around. I'm like Huntz Hall, but that's another story. Anyway, I am going to take you on a little trip right here in the valley. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you where this Leo Gorcey lived. Now, hold on. I know you're all getting excited and you're breathing hard, and I shouldn't show you just the steering wheel there. But now I have some Dylan on. I'm going to turn him off. But you see this greenhouse over here? 4616 with all the nice poses out in front. Well, that's where that wild man Leo Gorcey lived. And let me tell you, now he died, he had about 5 wives. He got them as fast as he could. But he was Leo Gorcey, and he had a night, and that's another thing I thought I'd mention. They were the Bowery Boys back in New York, but they came out here, Gorcey, that's where he lived. And I'm taking you up to Huntz Hall's house. And so it's weird that they're back on, back in New York, and then they both come out here to Los Angeles, Hollywood. They end up living about 5 miles apart from each other, 5 minutes. A little bit interesting. Well, let me tell you about this Gorcey guy. Now, Leo, one time, this will give you an idea of the kind of feller he was. He was arrested one time for going down Wilshire Blvd at 92 miles an hour. Now, in New York, if you're in New York, that'd be like going 92 miles an hour through Times Square. It's insane. He could have killed 100 people. But that, he got pulled over and arrested for that, thankfully. And, obviously he was a big super drunk and all of that seems to almost always apply. But now we're going up here. You see we're going up this street. We haven't gone too far. You saw his digs. That's a nice house for a Bowery boy. That's below the freeway there. That's always considered pretty good place out here in the valley. But now we're looking at all of this and we're seeing trees, and this is kind of an opulent area as well, but they starred in a lot of films. They had a lot of money stolen from them, but that comes with the territory. But now look at that nice house over there. You could look out, you could stand up in those windows and you could be shot by a sniper. Doesn't that sound like fun? Let's see, well, what else we got here? But let me get back to Leo Gorcey, the one with the, the kind of weird, and always wore the baseball cap. Of these 5 wives, I think the second wife was called Bankston, and she had aspirations being in the movies. But she, along the way, she contacted, this is true, she contacted, by the way, this is Chandler, where the great Leo Huntz Hall lived, sorry. So this is where his buddy, his Bowery boy buddy lived. You see, it's just like 5 minutes away. And well, let's see. I haven't been here myself. I gotta watch the addresses so they don't slip up and then slip by me. But his second wife, getting back to that, was named Bankston. She applied to the Guinness Book of World Records for being the woman that had the most simultaneous affairs while being married. That's the truth. And I don't know if she could have won that title, but you know, I've known a few women I haven't been married to, but I think they'd be in the running. Anyway, I don't want to say good things about women because, you know, they are so wonderful. Besides, being out here in California, you say anything bad about a woman, you might get a 10-year prison sentence for sexism here in Snowflake, California. So I better watch what I say. All women are wonderful and good, and they never lie, and they're angels, and they're perfect, and that's all I have to say about them. You hear that, police? Now, anyway, Leo Gorcey, one time some wife, I think it was the third wife, she knew he was having sexual relations with another woman, and, you know, she couldn't find him, so she sent 2 detectives over to that house there on Long Ridge that you saw, and he popped out of bed, as they say, and he came up with a gun and he shot at both of these detectives. And that wasn't very appreciated, certainly by the detectives, but they did find him in bed with yet another woman, you know, and when I say woman, let's see, I mean, what would you say, drunken barfly? I don't think she was the queen of Portugal, but you know how these things go. I'm not going to give any commentary on the quality of his women. I would be loath to do that. But anyway, this Leo, the bad man, Gorcey, then, well, look at this. Look at this. This is what I think happened. You see this apartment here, or it's big condominium complex? It's 12512. Well, that is where Mr. Hall lived, and I didn't know that. I would say this is obviously a new building of prestige and opulence. And so, Mr. Huntz Hall, the shorter German-looking one, and that's why they called him Huntz. That wasn't his name, but he looked German, so they called him Huntz Hall. So, this is where he lived, but that house is torn down now, and across the street, again, you see other condos. So, you know, you can make more money doing that. Any way you can make more money, even if it's selling your granny to medical science while she's still alive, people are going to do it because, you know, it's money and it's granny. She lived long enough, hasn't she? So that's where he lived. There's not too much to say about Huntz Hall. He was actually a non-boozer, I think. He lived to be about 75, and he finally died of heart failure. But he was a very good and astute businessman. I heard that he became fairly wealthy. He negotiated and owned 10% of the Bowery Boys. So right there, you know, when they keep showing these things on TV and all these reruns, that boy's getting a piece of the action. Anytime you're getting a piece of the action, that's a good place. No matter what kind of action it is, you want to get your greasy hands on a piece of it. So, let's see now. Oh, so that's, you know, and then he just basically, he was a very good businessman. He lived there where that condo is now and made it to 75. Leo Gorcey, on the other hand, he was so he had so many troubles. We're coming up on Laurel Canyon. Now that's another icon place, Laurel Canyon. It's also the name of a porn star. Her name was Laurel Canyon. I think she just picked it right off the sign. You know, a lot of these stars out here do that. You know, Charlie Bronson, there's a Bronson Street down in Hollywood. He picked his name off of that. I think I also saw a Hayworth there. I think Rita Hayworth got her name off of there. A lot of these people just pick them off the signs. You know, a person could think about a name and maybe, you know, use a little intelligence and judgment if they're smart. But, you know, they were smart enough to just, they say, well, there's a sign with a name on it. I think I'll choose that one. You know, I never had, in any interview I've ever seen, outside of just a handful, I've never had the feeling that any movie star or actor or actress that I've ever seen is really very intelligent. They all seem like kind of dumbos to me. But that's the way it is. I mean, they're just, and, you know, their handlers give the host a list of the things you can ask them. So they're prepped. They have an answer for the things you ask them. If you go off the little preparatory paper, they'll walk right off the set because they can't answer a question like, you know, what color is the sky? What's 2 + 2? They look to their handlers. No, all the actors I've seen are pretty damn dumb. You know, the only 2 people that really have struck me as being intelligent, well, 2 or 3 or 4, was, what was his name? George Carlin was a very bright guy. Dennis Miller, the commentator, he's a bright guy. I think James Woods, who's commentating now, he's said to have an IQ of 180. So that's what he said. I'd have to, even though I like the guy, I'd have to see the proof on that one. But anyway, I'm getting far afield. But Leo Gorcey got the hell out of here in L.A. He left his buddy behind, unsolved. Of course, they hated each other's guts, but what do you expect? That's the way it is with people. You know, that's another thing I would tell you people you don't know. You see, people generally, they don't like each other. You think they do. But even friends, they don't like each other much. This is like a universal truth. There's not much there. It's the way we're created. But there's not a lot of commonality between people. And people, you know, I always bring this up. The Richard Dawkins wrote the seminal work on biology about, it's over 40 years now. It's called The Selfish Gene. Very, very famous book. But yeah, all of us are naturally, and we must be selfish or we wouldn't survive. So all people are selfish. And this is why people don't really love each other, or really even when they're friends. It's not deep friendship. It's kind of a game they play. This is kind of a social game they play, and of the many they play. But it's all because we are created and governed by those selfish genes. We are all, everybody above ground is selfish as hell. And we look out for ourselves, and the rest of it, once in a while you get something good from people, once in a while, but you know, not most of the time. They're just playing a game. It's an illusion. And they can't be any different, and neither can I, because we were built by evolution, and that imbued us with a body full of selfish genes. We're just acting the way we were created. It really is true. You may not want to believe it, but it's the truth. So, let's see now. I want to run this to the end, so I'm going to pull over here in the red. I hope I don't get a ticket. I'll charge you the ticket if I do. But, let's see now. Leo Gorcey, he got out of here. He went to Northern California, where he remained a mean drunk, and he died at 52 years of age. His buddy Huntz outlived him by at least 20 years, and he may have had a drink or two, but he wasn't a drunk, as far as I know. One last thing about that whole deal. It was kind of a famous thing about the Beatles asked both of them, because they're celebrities in a way, Bowery Boys, to be on their very iconic and world-famous Sgt. Pepper album, where they had a bunch of different people. Well, would you care to guess which one, from the description I've given you, which one agreed to it, and which one asked for $400 to be on it? You got it right. Huntz Hall, being a smart businessman, said, I'd be happy to have my picture on there. Thank you, Beatles. But Huntz Hall, wearing his little baseball cap a little too tight, I think it might have had a propeller on it, and he was spinning that propeller, and I think it stretched his head a little bit too tight. He said, no, I want $400 to be on the cover of Sgt. Pepper. So he talked himself by wanting money to be on the most famous album in the world. I'd have done it. Hell, I'd have done it for only $50. But, you know, what are you going to do with people? So that's the difference. Huntz Hall made it. Leo Gorcey didn't. He went up to Northern California because he was having all these women problems. Maybe his second wife will get in the Guinness Book of World Records for having the most simultaneous affairs while married. I don't know what the number was, but, you know, I know I was like number 63, but so there must have been quite a few. Anyway, that's the whole story of Leo Gorcey, Huntz Hall, booze, women going into the Guinness Book of Records, and all of that glorified stuff that we have out here in Hollywood. This is on the other side of it, on the Valley Burbank side. I think there's actually more studios out on this side than there are on the other side. When you go into Burbank, there's 1 million studios. Half of Burbank is all solid studio. But I hate to go in there because, you know, when you got those studios around, it's like driving among skyscrapers. There's never any place to park. There's always 15 guards with, you know, behind telescopes looking at where you're at, you know, so you don't park someplace. You're going to get towed in a second if you park in the wrong spot. I don't like that. I think a guy like me, with my value and my greatness, I think I should be able to park any place I want. I want to park right out here in the middle of the street for 5 hours. I think I should be allowed to. Don't you? Well, I'll see you later. It's been fun. And this is the glorious valley. We got a car wash over there. What do we have here? Are there any women that are working the stroll I might want to have a talk to? No, I would try to set them straight, or might end up setting myself straight. I don't know. But I'm going to end this now. It's difficult for me to stop talking, you know, because I think I have fallen in love with the sound of my voice, among other parts of me. But I'm going to have to end it now before the batteries run out, so yeah, I wanted to see if it was even on. Well, that's the story. I think this makes for another good video. Oh, I'm supposed to add, leave your email somewhere. Subscribe and leave your email somewhere. Because I can then, I'm going to make more of these suckers, and I can get them to you. And be honest now, where have you ever seen or heard of a video like this? I mean, they just don't exist. So come on now. I'll see you later. But give me your info. Give me a subscribe. Give me your info. Give me your email. Give me, I don't know, give me a shoe size. Maybe I'll buy you a pair of socks. Okay. I'll see you later.